So it seems that Sentai has decided to respond to the backlash over To Love Rue's dub. Problem is, it just seems like it's a poor excuse, if anything. Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So, apparently, Sentai has decided to respond. And, well, their response to me and to many others sounds like a very poor excuse as to why they switched up the whole script that had misogyny put within the dub. Which, of course, there's no reason to do it. It's just pulling another Funimation and, this stuff obviously needs to stay out of anime, but, when will they learn, right? To Love Ru localizer tries to explain why misogyny was used in the English dub. Sentai Filmworks rightfully came under fire for the dub of To Love Ru, which featured a word replacement in a conversation about a character wanting a wife who could cook. In the original Japanese version, the character was mocked for being old-fashioned, and in the English dub, the character was told that wanting a wife that could cook was misogynistic. Given that the word means a hatred of women, every literal weeb, otaku, and anime fan was up in arms about the change in dialogue. Well, the script writer in charge of the automatic dialogue replacement attempted to take to social media to explain why the change happened. And of course here, there is the whole tweet that they had. They had a whole line of it, trying to do damage control because of this entire bit put within the script, which didn't need to be there. And, thing of it is, which we're going to look into this tweet in just a bit, but the thing of it is, trying to go into damage control over something like this, I mean, people just want to watch anime and have fun. Everybody just wants to escape from the world and its issues every once in a while, just to have fun, just to have some fantasy in their life, have some creativity, and, just escape their problems. I mean, that's what they want. They don't want to hear about this kind of stuff. And, of course, this is stuff that when you throw it in there, people just get tired of it because they think, well, I came here to escape, and this throws me out of what I enjoy. So, of course, people don't like it, which, I agree with that. I don't like it either. The typical supporters of Agitprop and the infestation of anime were quick to pat Segara on the back. The thing is, they always do this. You always see the woke crowd, the clown mob jump in, whenever something goes their way. Oh, you're so good. You did such a great job. They always do that. And everybody just thinks, oh, you couldn't be more slimy, could you? Because, the clowns want everybody to be miserable just like they are. Of course, of course. However, another translator from Kawasaki, Japan, stepped in to point out that misogynistic and old-fashioned don't sound the same and certainly don't fit within the same contextual window when it comes to translation. Of course, there are the tweets right there. We'll also go into that in just a moment. Someone attempted to defend Segara and the use of misogynistic in the localization of To Love Ru, but they were probably put in their place, in which the translator did it. Also, the article brings up a good point of words that could have been used instead of misogyny. Any number of alternates could have been used, including, but not limited to, you are old school, huh? Hey, don't be so rude. That is old-fashioned. That's so silly. Come on. That's so completely rude. Or that's so chauvinistic. There's so many words that could have been replaced here, but misogyny, because, they gotta push those agendas. That's why that was thrown in there. It's clearly obvious why they pushed it. A few centrists tried using the excuse that the word would have to fit within a single animation flap of the character's mouth, but the actual English dub for the phrase extends across 3 flaps, and misogynistic is still a polysyllabic word that goes well over a single animation flap, when something much more taut and appropriate could have been used. Basically, Segara is trying to say that there was no agenda involved, even though there's a flowing take of words in the English lexicon that could have been used in place of misogynistic. Which is true. I mean, this is nothing more than basically like a Funimation point of where instead of having to push a word like that, pushing an agenda, right? Instead of doing that, there was just a whole lot of words that could have been used, but of course, trying to also defend the word and saying that it could have been multiple flaps. Yeah, okay, sure. Because, that's the big issue, right? we know that's not what it is. They're just trying to push agendas into anime, which needs to stay out of it, which has nothing to do with it, and it needs to stay out. That's not respecting the creator's image. Now, like I said, we were going to get into these tweets that the article had pointed out. Here are the tweets here from Holly Segura herself. I wanted to put this out there because I know folks are mad at me, and honestly, I hate making anyone mad. But there's some difficulties in dubbing you may not be aware of that can affect choices such as syllable count, animation, mouth flaps, and rhythm. So, of course, the excuse is right here to try to defend why that word was thrown in there instead of saying something else, which doesn't make sense. But if anything, to me, this is nothing more than a poor excuse, right? This is damage control because you upset the fan Sentai, you pull the Funimation, people aren't happy about it. Of course, she went on to keep saying, ideally, we keep it as close to the original translation as we can, but dubs just aren't that simple. They have to flow and work with the animation. For you purists out there, subs are definitely for you, and I personally like both, depending on the show. Yeah, see, the damage control here, right? Oh, boy. My job as an ADR writer is to make things sound natural and avoid sounding too stiff. There's no one-on-one trade when it comes to translation. It involves a lot of puzzle solving and spending tons of time with the material. I put a lot of love in my work. I promise no hidden agendas. You promise no hidden agendas, but, it's not really hidden when it's basically just blatantly there. And you have people responding, like Luigi the Metal 64 here had to say, we don't care if they don't match the mouth movement or sound weird. That is perfectly normal for people of another language. They can be introduced with something that is foreign, and they can get used to it. Translating is important for communicating. Right, of course. We can assume the characters are not speaking English in the canon, which is usually a sign of the dialogue being translated. Changing up the words can come off as lying about what the characters were saying. Translation already makes the show different enough to set it apart. And that's the thing. When it comes down to it, the job is just translate the script. Don't throw in this personal agenda stuff. Nobody cares about it, And you're upsetting your fans this way. You're turning people off when you put in words like this that, fit an agenda. Because nobody cares about that. That's not what people are there for. And to make the excuse of, oh yeah, I have to hit the flaps of the lips, right? Well, let me bring up something. So does anybody remember Pokemon? I'm sure everybody does. You have to be hiding under a rock if you didn't. But think about Pokemon. If you remember the Lorelei episode back in the Orange Island season of Pokemon, if you recall, the dub had to change her name to Prima because they could not back then actually change it to where it's suited to be Lorelei, 3-syllable word, whenever the lip was doing a 2-syllable word. So they changed her name to Prima for the anime only for that one episode. And that's the reason why Lorelei's name was changed to Prima back whenever the 4Kids dub was doing Pokemon. And of course, that was back in the late 90s, so things were different back then. And, look at this as well. I mean, you think about it. You look at fan translations, which I think need to be noticed more. GX themselves, they didn't do the 4th season. 4Kids did not do it. And fans took up trying to dub the 4th season because they wanted to have the conclusion to GX, and they wanted it dubbed. And so they also did it for the audience as well that were more of a fan of the dub. So, thing is, of course, 4Kids got involved and a lawsuit was threatened on them, so they had to stop. But they kept it to what the original was, and they did an excellent job dubbing it, surprisingly enough. You can still find it, I think, on YouTube, unless they took them all down by now because of the whole lawsuit issue. But it shows you that they didn't try to push any agendas or any issues like that. No. They kept it as close to the original. And this other person that was actually a translator, now we're going to get to what they had to say, And this is what they were saying. This is their tweet right here. Looking at an article about the change, I can kind of see the annoyance, though nothing to be mad at you about, I would assume. Changing old-fashioned to misogynistic is as bad as Funimation placing a certain naughty word as a translation of lolicon. As a translator myself, there had to have been a way to not put implied meaning of gender discrimination into the script and still match the lips. Get with the times, you're so behind the times, etc. Which is why I said there is probably something similar. Old-fashioned and misogynistic are very different words. The second does push an agenda, which people are right to be annoyed about. When dubbing, you have to adapt, but completely changing the implied meaning is a no. And here's the thing, ironically enough, this is also coming from a translator. So, you see, even this person understands that when they translate work, they need to keep it to what the script was. Besides, it is also disrespecting the creator's vision when they try to take the work and then be like, oh yes, let's push our agendas. Nobody wants that. You're disrespecting the creator's work. I mean, this is why so many people are so frustrated with Funimation. I mean, Sentai, come on. For God's sake, why do you think that people are upset with Funimation? I mean, they're upset with Funimation because Funimation has tried to push their agendas in anime that aren't in the mainstream. You know, the lesser known anime, they've been trying to push different agendas. And they even did this to the anime dub, where they pushed misogyny in that, and people were upset over that. So how do you think this makes people feel to see that in To Love Ru? Nobody wants to see that. I mean, come on, Sentai. So many people have trusted you because you've done so well from what I know, by what I've seen and heard other people say. Think of it as Sentai. You know, people have enjoyed what you've done so far. And thing is, now that you're pushing this agenda, and having so much damage control over it, I mean, you got to understand, this is not what people want. People want you to do good. People want you to, translate it the way it's supposed to be translated, not changing things to fit what you want to push. Just keep it the way it was. It's not that hard. I mean, I think this is the point to why so many people would rather see a lot more fan translators, because, I think that there needs to be more people being seen, because there's so many good fan translations out there. They do so well. And, see big places like Funimation and, now Sentai doing this, it turns a lot of people off to that. And it's sad to see that we're getting to the point to where another dubbing company pushes an agenda into anime. I mean, here's the thing, Sentai, hopefully you'll learn from this mistake. Hopefully you won't do it again, but if you do, expect to lose more customers. But anyways, let me know what you think about this entire situation down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and make sure you are still subscribed, because YouTube is unsubscribing people from all their favorite channels. So make sure you are still subscribed to all your favorite channels. Hit the video with a like if you enjoyed. Be sure to share the video on social media, spread the word, and get it out there. It's greatly appreciated, and it really helps out the channel a lot. Also, be sure to follow me on Discord. We have a wonderful community there. It'll keep you up to date on when new videos will be released, as well as any other upcoming events. So be sure to follow me on Discord. The link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.